My sister-in-law used my baby fund for a destination bachelorette, said babies don't need that much, then spent $12,800 in 1 week on flights and bottle service. Now her marriage is imploding after her husband saw my messages. I'm charging back everything and serving her court papers. I just filed a $12,800 chargeback against my sister-in-law and she's threatening to sue me, but her husband texted me an hour ago saying he wants a divorce and I'm the only witness he needs. My husband's sister asked to borrow money 6 months ago. She said it was for wedding stuff, last-minute vendor deposits, nothing crazy. I had $14,000 saved in a separate account for IVF treatments because my husband and I have been trying for 3 years with no luck. The treatments aren't covered by insurance and we'd been saving since before we even got married. She knew about the fund. Everyone in the family knew because my mother-in-law wouldn't shut up about wanting grandbabies and kept asking when we were starting treatments. She called me crying one Tuesday night. Said the florist wanted $3,000 upfront or they'd give her date to someone else. Then the venue needed another $2,000 for the deposit. I felt bad. She's always been decent to me and weddings are expensive. I sent her $5,000 through Zelle that same night. 2 weeks later she needed another $4,000. Catering emergency. Then $3,800 for bridesmaid dresses that apparently had to be custom ordered from some designer in New York. I kept sending money because she'd pay me back after the wedding. She promised. Her fiancé makes good money in tech, over $200,000. It wasn't like they were broke. The wedding was beautiful. Huge. Probably 300 people. Open bar, live band, the whole thing. I didn't think much of it until I saw her Instagram 2 days later. She'd posted 47 pictures from her bachelorette party in Ibiza. Ibiza. Not like Atlantic City or Miami. Spain. The captions were all about living my best life and best week ever with my girls. There were bottles of champagne that I know cost $800 minimum because I looked up the club she tagged. Private yacht rental. First-class flights in the background of one photo. I felt sick. I went through every post. She'd been there for 8 days. The resort alone was probably $500 a night and she'd rented a villa for her and 6 friends. I called her. She didn't answer. I texted asking if she'd gotten a bonus at work or something because those trips aren't cheap and wasn't she supposed to be saving for the wedding? She replied 3 hours later, "What are you, my accountant now? Mind your business." I lost it. I called her again. This time she picked up. "Did you use my IVF money for your bachelorette party?" She laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh my God, relax. Babies don't need that much money anyway. You're being dramatic. That was $12,800. I sent you $12,800 for wedding vendors. And I'm paying you back, Jesus. After the honeymoon. We just got back from Bali, we're tapped out right now." Bali. They went to Bali for 2 weeks after Ibiza. You said you'd pay me back after the wedding. That was 5 months ago. Plans change. You'll get your money. Stop being so desperate about it. It's honestly kind of sad. I hung up. I was shaking. My husband was pissed when I told him, but he said we should wait and handle it calmly. Give her one more chance. I texted her a payment plan. $1,000 a month for 13 months. Reasonable. She left me on read for 2 weeks. Then she replied, "Can't do that. We have bills. Also, maybe if you weren't so stressed about money you'd actually get pregnant. Stress causes infertility, you know." I screenshotted everything. Every Zelle transfer. Every text. Every Instagram post from Ibiza with the geotags and dates. I made a whole folder. Then I disputed every single charge with my bank. All $12,800. I claimed fraud because she'd misrepresented what the money was for. She found out 4 days later when her bank flagged her account. She called me screaming. Said I was ruining her life, that she had autopay set up and now everything was bouncing, that I was a vindictive bitch who couldn't handle other people being happy. I told her she committed fraud and I had proof. She hung up. Here's where it gets messy. Her husband, my brother-in-law, called me yesterday. He was quiet at first. Then he said, "Send me everything." I didn't understand. Send me every text. Every receipt. Every Instagram post. All of it. Turns out she told him the money came from her parents. He had no idea she'd borrowed from us. He definitely had no idea she'd spent our IVF fund on bottle service in Spain. I sent him the folder. He called back an hour later. His voice was different. Flat. "She told me your brother gave you guys that money as a gift. She said you were being greedy asking for it back. She's been lying about a lot of things." He wouldn't elaborate, but I could hear her screaming in the background. Something about privacy and how dare he go through her phone. This morning I got a text from my mother-in-law. She's furious with me. Says I'm tearing the family apart over money, that her daughter would never lie, that I'm clearly jealous because I can't have kids and she can. That one hurt. My husband finally stepped in and told his mom if she ever spoke to me like that again, she'd never see him again. She backed off, but the damage is done. My brother-in-law served her with divorce papers this morning. I know because she posted an Instagram story at 6 a.m. crying about betrayal and how her own family turned on her. She deleted it 20 minutes later, but I got a screenshot. She's been blowing up my phone. Says I ruined her marriage. Says the chargeback is illegal and she's going to sue me. Says I'm a monster who weaponized her husband against her. But also she still hasn't paid me back a single dollar. My lawyer sent her a demand letter yesterday. Small claims court. I want every penny plus the interest my savings account would have earned. My husband supports me, but his dad called and said I should drop it. That family is more important than money. That his daughter made a mistake and I'm being cruel. Her friends are messaging me on Instagram saying I'm ruining her life over a loan. That marriages end because of people like me. One of them said I should be ashamed for being so petty when she's going through a divorce. But I didn't cause the divorce. I just told the truth when her husband asked. The chargeback went through. All $12,800 is back in my account. We have our first IVF consultation scheduled for next month. She sent me one final text last night. I hope you never have kids. You'd be a terrible mother. I blocked her after that. Now half the family isn't speaking to me and the other half is taking sides. My husband says I did the right thing, but I keep thinking about that text. About her marriage ending. About my mother-in-law crying on the phone. Maybe I should have just let it go. Maybe $12,800 isn't worth all this. Am I a butthole? The chargeback cleared 3 days ago and my sister-in-law showed up at my house at midnight with her mother screaming through my front door that I stole from her. My husband called the police. I stood in our living room holding my phone with 911 already dialed while she pounded on the door so hard the frame shook. My mother-in-law was yelling that I was a thief, that I destroyed her daughter's life, that she'd make sure everyone knew what kind of person I really was. The cops arrived in maybe 8 minutes. By then our neighbors had their lights on and Mrs. Chen from next door was standing on her porch in her bathrobe recording everything on her phone. My sister-in-law tried to tell the officers I'd stolen $12,800 from her. She had printouts. Bank statements with the Zelle transfers highlighted. She kept saying I'd promised it was a gift, that I was harassing her, that I'd manipulated her husband into leaving her. The officer looked at me. I showed him my phone. Every text where she'd promised to pay me back. The ones where she'd called me desperate. The one about infertility and stress. He told her to leave or he'd arrest her for disturbing the peace. She screamed that he wasn't listening, that I had connections or something because why else would he take my side? My mother-in-law grabbed her arm and pulled her back to the car. Before she left she looked right at me and said, "You'll regret this." I couldn't sleep that night. My husband stayed up with me. We sat in the kitchen until 4 a.m. drinking tea and not really talking. My brother-in-law texted me the next morning. He said he'd filed for divorce 2 days after I sent him those screenshots. Turns out the Ibiza trip wasn't the only thing she'd lied about. She had 3 credit cards he didn't know about. $47,000 in debt. She'd been paying minimums with cash advances from other cards. He found emails. She'd been planning to buy a condo as an investment property with money from her parents. Except her parents never agreed to give her money. She'd been planning to take out a loan in both their names without telling him. He said he felt sick going through her laptop, but he couldn't stop. There were messages to her friends about how she'd convinced me to loan her the money by crying about vendor deposits. One message said, "She's so desperate to be liked she'll believe anything." I read that message 5 times. My lawyer sent the demand letter to her attorney on Thursday. Small claims court date is set for February 18th. She has to show up or I win by default. Yesterday my cousin called. She'd heard about everything through the family gossip chain. She told me my sister-in-law has been telling people I'm the reason her marriage ended. That I seduced her husband or fed him lies or something equally insane. My cousin didn't believe it, but she wanted me to know what was being said. I called my brother-in-law. I asked if we needed to stop talking because I didn't want to make his divorce harder. He laughed. It wasn't a happy sound. She already accused me of cheating on her with you in the initial response to the divorce petition. My lawyer tore that apart in about 6 seconds. You're fine. The IVF consultation is in 12 days. My husband and I went to dinner last night to celebrate getting the money back and try to feel normal again. We made it through appetizers before I started crying in the middle of the restaurant. I couldn't stop thinking about my mother-in-law's face at the door. About that text saying I'd be a terrible mother. About my sister-in-law's friends calling me petty. My husband paid the check and we left. We sat in the parking lot for 20 minutes while I tried to pull myself together. When we got home there was an envelope taped to our front door. No stamp. Hand-delivered. Inside was a letter from my father-in-law. 3 pages. He said I'd always been welcome in the family but I'd crossed a line. That his daughter made mistakes but family forgives. That I was being vindictive and cruel and if I didn't drop the court case I wouldn't be welcome at family events anymore. He said my husband would have to choose between his wife and his family. My husband read it twice, then tore it up and threw it in the recycling. He called his dad right there in the kitchen. I only heard his side, but it was enough. She committed fraud, Dad. Actual fraud. She lied about what the money was for and spent it on bottle service in Spain while we were saving for medical treatments. Silence while his father talked. No. We're not dropping it. And if you make me choose, you're not going to like the answer. More silence. I'm sorry you feel that way. Tell Mom I love her, but this is done. He hung up. His hand was shaking. We haven't spoken to his parents since. His younger brother called yesterday to say he thinks we're doing the right thing, but he can't say that publicly because he still lives at home and the situation is tense. My sister-in-law posted on Facebook this morning a long post about family betrayal and forgiveness and how some people value money over relationships. She didn't name me, but everyone knows. The comments were split. Half her friends agreeing that family should come first. Half saying if she borrowed money she should pay it back. One comment from someone I didn't recognize said, "Didn't you just get back from Bali though?" She deleted the whole post an hour later. My brother-in-law's lawyer called my lawyer yesterday. They want my testimony for the divorce proceedings. Apparently her spending and lying are relevant to the asset division. I said yes. My husband asked if I was sure and I told him I was tired of being the only person telling the truth. The court date is coming up fast. My lawyer says we'll win easily, but it still feels like I'm the one on trial. My in-laws won't speak to me. Half the extended family thinks I'm evil. My sister-in-law is telling anyone who'll listen that I destroyed her life. But she still hasn't apologized. Hasn't offered a single dollar back. Hasn't admitted she lied. Sometimes I wonder if I should have just absorbed the loss. $12,800 is a lot of money, but it's not worth losing a whole family over. My husband says they chose this by defending her instead of holding her accountable, but I don't know. What if I'm the one being unreasonable? I won the court case, but my sister-in-law's lawyer ambushed me outside the courthouse with a process server, and now I'm being sued for defamation and emotional distress. The small claims hearing lasted maybe 40 minutes. The judge looked at my evidence for all of 3 minutes before asking her if she had any proof the money was a gift. She didn't. She tried to say I told her verbally it was a gift, but I had text messages literally saying I'll pay you back after the wedding in her own words. The judge awarded me the full amount plus 6 months of interest. $13,240. He said she had 30 days to pay or he'd authorize wage garnishment. She started crying right there in the courtroom. Loud, gasping sobs. Her lawyer put his hand on her shoulder and the judge told her she needed to compose herself or leave. We walked out and I felt nothing. No relief, no satisfaction. Just tired. That's when her lawyer stopped me in the hallway. He handed me papers. A civil lawsuit filed 3 days ago. She's suing me for $75,000. Defamation of character, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and tortious interference with their marriage. My husband grabbed the papers from my hands and read them while I stood there trying to process what was happening. Her complaint says I spread malicious lies to her husband to destroy her marriage. That I manipulated bank records and fabricated text messages. That I've been harassing her and stalking her social media. That my actions caused her severe emotional trauma requiring therapy. It's all bullshit. Every single word. My lawyer called me that night after I scanned and sent him the complaint. He said it's a slap suit, meant to intimidate me into dropping the small claims judgment. He said we'd file a motion to dismiss and probably countersue for legal fees, but I'd need to pay him a $5,000 retainer to handle it. Another $5,000. On top of the $2,800 I already paid him for the small claims case. I wanted to scream. My brother-in-law called me the next morning. He'd seen the lawsuit. His lawyer had been copied on it since she's claiming I interfered with their marriage. This is insane, he said. I'm the one who asked you for the evidence. I'm the one who filed for divorce. You didn't do anything to our marriage that she didn't do first. He said he'd testify if it went to trial. That he'd provide a sworn statement about everything. That his divorce lawyer already had all the same evidence I'd given him. I thanked him, but my voice sounded hollow. The lawsuit is public record. My sister-in-law posted about it on Facebook that afternoon. She didn't mention the small claims loss. Just wrote this long post about how I destroyed her life and now she had no choice but to seek legal remedy for my slander. The comments were worse this time. People I'd never met calling me a liar. Saying I must be jealous of her. One person said they'd always known I was manipulative and this proved it. My mother-in-law shared the post. Added her own comment about how proud she was of her daughter for standing up to bullies. My husband saw it before I did. He messaged his mother directly. Told her she had one chance to delete it or he'd never speak to her again. She didn't delete it. He blocked her on everything. His dad too. Then he went through and blocked his sister and every family member who'd commented supporting her. I watched him do it sitting at our kitchen table and I felt like I was watching our life fall apart in real time. His younger brother texted him that night. Said their parents were talking about cutting him out of the will. That his mother had been crying for 2 days straight. That Thanksgiving was in 3 weeks and there was no way we could come now. My husband didn't respond. I got an email yesterday from someone I've never heard of. No name, just a Gmail address. It had screenshots of my sister-in-law's private messages with her friends. Someone had sent them anonymously. The messages were from last week. Her talking about the lawsuit. She wrote, "My lawyer says we probably won't win, but it doesn't matter. The goal is to make her spend so much on legal fees she'll wish she never came after me." Another message, "Even if I have to pay her the $13,000 eventually, this lawsuit will cost her way more than that. She'll regret ever crossing me." I showed my lawyer. He said it was evidence of malicious prosecution and we should definitely countersue, but it might not be admissible depending on how it was obtained. I don't even care about admissible anymore. I just want this to be over. The IVF consultation happened on Tuesday. We told the doctor everything about the money and the lawsuit and asked if we should postpone until this was resolved. She said we could wait, but we weren't getting any younger and stress wasn't going to improve our chances. We start the first round of treatment in January. My sister-in-law found out somehow. Maybe my mother-in-law told her. She sent me an email because I have her blocked everywhere else. The subject line was karma. The email said, "I hope your IVF fails. I hope you waste every penny of that stolen money and end up with nothing. You deserve to be alone and childless. You're a vindictive witch who destroys families, and someday everyone will see what you really are." I read it 5 times before I forwarded it to my lawyer. He said it was more evidence for our counterclaim, but also I should consider filing for a restraining order. A restraining order against my husband's sister. Against my mother-in-law who shared her Facebook post. Against my father-in-law who wrote that letter. How did it get this far? My husband's younger brother called yesterday. He's 23 and still lives at home while he finishes his master's degree. He said the house is unbearable. His parents aren't speaking to each other. His mother blames his father for not stopping my husband from choosing me over family. His father says his mother enables their daughter's worst behavior. He asked if he could stay with us for a while. He moved in this morning. 1 suitcase and his laptop. He said his mother cried when he left but didn't try to stop him. Now we're a house of 3 people who've been cut off from an entire family over $12,800 and the truth. My lawyer filed the motion to dismiss the lawsuit yesterday. He says we should hear back in 6 to 8 weeks. In the meantime, I'm paying him $350 an hour to defend me against claims that I fabricated evidence everyone knows is real. The small claims judgment is enforceable in 17 days if she doesn't pay. My lawyer will start garnishment proceedings immediately. She's already posting on Facebook about how I'm coming for her paycheck and how can I sleep at night knowing I'm taking food out of her mouth. She works in marketing making $80,000 a year. Her soon-to-be ex-husband makes over $200,000. She's not starving. But her friends believe her. My extended family believes her. People I've known for 6 years think I'm a monster. Sometimes I lie awake at night wondering if they're right. The wage garnishment started and my sister-in-law showed up at my job screaming that I was ruining her life in front of my entire office. Security had to physically escort her out. She was crying and yelling about how I was taking money she needed to survive, how I was heartless, how everyone there should know what kind of person I really work with. My boss pulled me into his office after and asked if I needed to take the rest of the day off. I said no, because what would I do at home? Sit there and think about how my husband's family wants me gone? The restraining order hearing is in 6 days. My lawyer finally convinced me to file after she showed up at my workplace. He said the email about hoping my IVF fails combined with her showing up where I work was enough for a temporary order at minimum. My husband's younger brother heard his mother on the phone yesterday planning to come to the hearing. She's going to testify on my sister-in-law's behalf. Say I've been the aggressor this whole time. That I'm manipulative and have turned her sons against her. He told us over dinner and I could barely eat after that. The defamation lawsuit is still pending. My lawyer filed the motion to dismiss 3 weeks ago and we're waiting for the judge to rule. In the meantime, my sister-in-law's lawyer keeps sending discovery requests. They want copies of every text message I've ever sent her. Every social media post I've ever made. My complete financial records for the last 5 years. My lawyer says it's a fishing expedition, but we have to comply. I spent 6 hours last weekend going through my phone extracting message threads and I wanted to throw up reading them. All those times I was nice to her. All those family dinners where I pretended everything was fine. She posted yesterday about the garnishment. Didn't mention why her wages were being garnished, just that I was legally stealing from her paycheck. The comments were brutal. People saying I should be ashamed. That I was kicking her while she was down. Someone said they hoped karma caught up with me soon. I screenshot it for my lawyer. He says every post she makes helps our case, but it doesn't feel like winning. My brother-in-law's divorce is almost final. His lawyer deposed my sister-in-law 2 weeks ago and apparently it went badly for her. She couldn't explain the credit card debt. Couldn't explain why she'd lied about the money from me. Tried to say her spending was justified because her job is stressful and she deserves nice things. His lawyer asked her under oath if she felt remorse for lying to her husband about $47,000 in debt and where my money went. She said no. Said she wasn't sorry for living her life. My brother-in-law sent me the transcript. I read it in our bathroom at 2 a.m. while my husband slept because I didn't want him to see me crying again. The IVF starts in 3 weeks. We had our medication training appointment yesterday. The nurse showed me how to do the injections, and all I could think about was my sister-in-law's email saying she hopes it fails. What if she's right? What if this is all for nothing? My husband's younger brother got a call from his father yesterday. His father said he needed to move back home immediately, that we were poisoning him against the family, that if he didn't come back he'd be cut off financially. He's in grad school. His parents pay his tuition. He sat at our kitchen table for an hour trying to figure out what to do. My husband told him to stay. Said we'd figure out the tuition if it came to that. His brother looked at him like he'd offered him the world. I wanted to tell him not to make promises we might not be able to keep. We're about to spend $18,000 on IVF. We're paying legal fees for 2 different cases. We can't afford someone else's graduate school. But I didn't say anything because my husband was trying to save the only family member who still talks to him. My mother-in-law called me directly yesterday. I don't know how she got my new number because I changed it 2 weeks ago. She said we needed to talk like adults. That this had all gotten out of hand. That if I dropped the restraining order and the lawsuit and forgave the debt, she'd make sure I was welcomed back into the family. I asked if her daughter would apologize. She said her daughter had nothing to apologize for. That she'd made mistakes, but so had I, that I'd escalated everything by being vindictive. I hung up. She called back immediately. I let it ring. She called 6 more times before I blocked the new number too. The anonymous emailer sent me more screenshots yesterday. My sister-in-law's private messages from 4 days ago. She was talking to a friend about the restraining order hearing. She wrote, "I'm going to tell the judge she threatened me. That she's been stalking me online and sending me harassing messages. My lawyer says if I seem scared enough they might deny it and grant one against her instead." Another message, "I just need to cry on the stand. Make it look like she's the crazy one. Judges always believe whoever cries more." I forwarded it to my lawyer immediately. He called me 10 minutes later. Said this was huge. Said we needed to find out who's sending these, but also we should prepare for her to lie under oath at the hearing. I asked what happens if the judge believes her. He went quiet for a second. Then he said we'd deal with it if it happens. That's not reassuring. My coworkers have been weird since she showed up. Nobody said anything directly, but I can feel them watching me. Wondering what kind of drama I've brought into the office. My boss hasn't said anything either, but he's been distant. I'm terrified I'm going to lose my job over this. My husband keeps saying it'll be okay, but he looks exhausted. His younger brother is sleeping on our couch. We're both paying legal fees we can't afford. We're about to start a medical procedure that might not work while his entire family calls me a monster. How is any of this okay? The hearing is Saturday morning. My lawyer says to dress conservatively and let him do most of the talking. Don't react if she lies. Don't cry even if she says horrible things. Just sit there and look calm and reasonable. I don't know if I can do that. My sister-in-law knows exactly what to say to break me. She proved that with the infertility comments. With the email about the IVF failing. She's spent 6 years learning my weaknesses, and now she's going to use them in front of a judge. My husband says he's coming to the hearing. My lawyer says it's better if he doesn't because it might look like I need protection or support. That I should appear independent and strong. So I'm going alone. Just me and my lawyer against her and her lawyer and my mother-in-law and whoever else she brings to testify that I'm the villain in this story. I keep thinking about that Facebook post. All those people who believed her immediately. All those comments calling me jealous and vindictive and cruel. What if the judge believes her too? The judge dismissed her restraining order request in under 10 minutes and granted mine for 3 years. My sister-in-law tried exactly what those screenshots said she would. Cried on the stand. Said I'd been sending her threatening messages and stalking her social media and turning her family against her. Her lawyer presented printouts of my harassment, which turned out to be me blocking her on Instagram after she sent that email about my IVF failing. My lawyer stood up and handed the judge her email. The one about hoping my treatments fail and calling me a childless witch. Then he showed the judge the screenshots of her planning to lie in court. The ones where she literally wrote out her strategy to cry and play victim. The judge asked her lawyer if he'd seen these messages before the hearing. He went pale and said no. She started backtracking immediately. Said those messages were taken out of context. That someone hacked her account. That I fabricated them somehow. The judge asked her to explain the metadata stamps. She couldn't. He granted my restraining order on the spot. 3 years. She can't contact me, can't come within 500 feet of my home or workplace, can't post about me on social media. If she violates it, she'll be arrested. My mother-in-law was sitting in the back row. She got up and walked out before the judge finished reading the order. My sister-in-law's defamation lawsuit got dismissed 4 days later. The judge ruled it was a slap suit designed to intimidate me and awarded me attorney's fees. $8,400. Her lawyer has to pay my lawyer directly. She hasn't paid a cent of the small claims judgment. Wage garnishment takes 25% of her paycheck every 2 weeks until the debt is cleared. At her current salary, it will take about 9 months to get the full amount. My brother-in-law's divorce finalized last week. He got the house. She got her car and her credit card debt. The judge ordered the debt split wouldn't include the $47,000 she'd hidden because she'd committed fraud. That's entirely hers to deal with. He texted me after the hearing. Said he felt empty but relieved. Asked how I was doing. I didn't know how to answer that. My husband's younger brother withdrew from grad school. His parents cut him off the day after the restraining order hearing. Told him if he was going to side with us, he could pay his own way through life. He got a job as a software developer 3 weeks later. Starts in January. He's still sleeping on our couch, but he's saving for his own place. My husband hasn't spoken to his parents in 2 months. They sent a Christmas card last week. Just to him, not to me. Inside was a note saying they'd always love him, but they couldn't have a relationship with him while he was married to me. He read it once and put it in the recycling without saying a word. The IVF didn't work. We did the full cycle. The retrieval, the transfer, the 2-week wait. I took the pregnancy test on a Wednesday morning and it was negative. I sat on the bathroom floor for an hour. My husband found me there when he got home from work. He didn't say anything, just sat down next to me. We're trying again in March. The doctor said first cycles fail more often than not. That we shouldn't lose hope. But I keep thinking about my sister-in-law's email. About her saying she hoped it would fail. About her getting exactly what she wanted. My husband says that's not how biology works, but it doesn't stop the thought. I saw her at the grocery store 2 weeks ago. She was in the produce section. Our eyes met across the Roma tomatoes and she turned around and walked the other way. The restraining order works. My coworkers stopped being weird after about a month. My boss called me into his office in November and said he wanted to make sure I was okay. That if I needed any accommodations or time off, I should let him know. I thanked him and went back to my desk and tried not to cry. The anonymous person stopped sending screenshots. I don't know who they were. My lawyer tried to find out for the court case, but the email account was created through a VPN and they never responded to our messages. Part of me thinks it was someone in my sister-in-law's friend group who got tired of her lies. Part of me doesn't want to know. My mother-in-law tried to friend me on Facebook under a fake name last week. The profile picture was a sunset. No posts, no friends, created in December. I blocked it. My husband's extended family has split into factions. His aunt and uncle on his dad's side won't talk to us. His cousins on his mom's side send occasional supportive texts but won't publicly defend us. His grandmother called him once to say she loved him, but this was all very difficult for everyone. He thanked her and said he understood. We spent Thanksgiving alone. Just us and his younger brother. We ordered Chinese food and watched football and didn't talk about the family dinner happening 15 miles away at his parents' house. It was the quietest Thanksgiving I've ever had. My sister-in-law posted a long essay on Facebook about forgiveness and moving forward and learning from the past. It was full of vague spiritual language about releasing anger and choosing peace. She never once admitted what she did. The comments were all supportive. People praising her growth. Saying she was inspiring. One person said they admired how gracefully she'd handled everything. I read it 3 times before I closed the app. The $12,800 is coming back in pieces. $430 every 2 weeks like clockwork. I put it in a separate account. We're not touching it. When it's all there, we're using it for the next IVF round. My lawyer says there's a chance she'll file bankruptcy to get out of the debt. That I should prepare for the possibility of never seeing all of it. I told him I didn't care anymore. I already got what I needed. He looked confused but didn't ask. The truth is, I don't know what I got. My husband lost his family. His brother lost his education funding. I lost whatever relationship I had with my in-laws. We're all paying legal fees and emotional costs that far exceed $12,800. But she faced consequences. Real ones. A restraining order. A dismissed lawsuit. Wage garnishment. A divorce that cost her everything. A public record of her lies. She doesn't get to pretend it didn't happen. My husband asked me last night if I regretted any of it. If I'd go back and just let the money go if I could do it over. I thought about it for a long time. Then I said no. He nodded like he'd expected that answer. We're moving in 6 months. Different city, fresh start. His brother is coming with us. We'll be 3 hours away from everyone and everything that happened. My husband says it feels like running. I told him it feels like surviving. I don't talk to anyone from his family anymore. They don't reach out. On my birthday last month, nobody from that side sent a message. It was the first birthday in 7 years without a card from my mother-in-law. I didn't miss it. Sometimes I wonder what my sister-in-law tells people about me now. If she's rewritten the story so she's the victim. If her friends believe whatever version she's selling. Then I remember I have a restraining order and she has garnished wages and none of her rewriting changes the court records. That helps.